Hey, what is up, guys? So I decided to play the charity event at Halifax with a very fun deck. We put down Eldritch for a bit, we put down all the control decks under the sun, and we decided to go with just pure aggro, which is Danger Darkworld combo. Now, you guys may remember this from like when Danger Darkworld FTK was a thing. Now, unfortunately, because Firewall's been errated, you can't do those kinds of things anymore. So the strategy for this is just make big monsters. Big monsters go burr, and then you pray that your opponent doesn't have a nib. And thankfully, because of what we were all playing at the charity event and the playstyles that people play for, I knew full well that nobody knew how this deck worked, or the ones that did, it's so long in the repressive parts of their nightmares that they no longer think about this deck. So it's relatively good at what it does through playing on my opponent's ignorances. So we'll just go straight into the deck for it. It's very, very linear with all the danger stuff in it. So we play the 3 Bigfoot and 3 Thunderbird. The reason why we play the 3 ofs for these dangers is because we need the level 8s because rank 8 toolbox is very good. Coach Soldier Giant Trainer is just free draws, so you need all the level 8s to make it kind of work. Then we have the triple Nessie, triple Mothman, and triple Chupacabra. So the reason why we play the 3 of each one of these is because the rank 4 toolbox aspect of it gives us a lot of stuff that we actually need. And obviously just dangers is free draws. It's just constant free draws without us having to risk that our opponent's going to get any stuff off the free drawing. The Mothman is kind of a bit sad that it gives my opponent the draw as well as I, but as long as I play the Mothman wisely, it doesn't give my opponent too much advantage, and if I make a Dweller at the end of it, it's fine. If I can make the Dweller before I use the Mothman, it's amazing. If I can't, well, it's kind of sadness. Chupacabra, because it's just a level 4, and 9 times out of 10 I use it to reborn the level 8s to make a rank 8 plays earlier on in my turn, and Nessie is just free searching. It's just free searching. That's all it is. And then to wrap up for the final dangers, we have the 1 Tsuchinoko and the 1 Jackalope. Wish I could play more. Actually, I wish I could play more of this. Not this. This isn't as useful because this is just a guaranteed body on the board, which is great. This is. Sometimes I actually want the danger still in the deck, and it's great, alright, for getting the level 8s out. However, this is more useful to me because I just want to guarantee that I have bodies out constantly, and obviously Ash can hit this. And then for the Darkworld aspect of it, the Darkworld package is actually quite smaller. You don't play as many Darkworlds as what you don't need. So we play the 3 Brow and the 3 Snow. Brow is just free drawing, Snow is just free searching. The great thing about Snow is it searches for any Dark Worlds, so it includes the spells and traps in this, which we don't play traps. But if we did play a trap, it would be useful for this. But we mainly use this to search for more dealings, or occasionally to finish off the last bit of the combo to make the fusion grapher. We'll use it to search the silver, but it is pretty decent for what it is. Just searching this. Also, because we like this sort of ratio for this sort of thing, because we want to guarantee that every single card that we hit off a danger gives us free advantage and gives us more stuff in our hands, because if you don't end up hitting the Dark World stuff, you kind of start nagging yourself after a while. Like, you don't want to hit multiple danger names, you just want to hit the Dark Worlds and only the Dark Worlds, and this constantly keeps filling up your hand so that you have the ability to not hit the same dangers that have already triggered that turn. Then we play the 2 Beige, the 1 Grapher, the 1 Overlord, and the 1 Silver. I am debating whether or not to keep on playing the Overlord. The Overlord so far is only used to search the Silver, so that it's a free bounce back for a level 8, and also gives me free search into Silver. But Snow also searches into this, so it's not as bothersome. The reason why we play the 2 Beige is because you can end up using one as link fodder, and then the other one is just constant recursion, so that you constantly get Grapher back, so that you can have monsters in your hand for the dangers. You can constantly have monsters for the dangers, and the silver is the best out of all of them that I've come to find when you have the fusion, because this just rips cards out of your opponent's hand. Don't do the same misplays that I do, where you end up filling up your board so you can't summon back the silver because you need to summon the silver to resolve it all properly. But just be a good player and don't do sadness. And then for the non-Darkworld cards, but they are kind of extended, it's the one Armageddon Knight, the one Salamander, the one Zephyros, and the one Destrudo. The Destrudo is good because you hit the one of the... So the reason why we play these ones is because if you have a level 3 danger on the field, you summon this back as a level 4, so it just gives you 3 additional stuff. Zephyros just bounces back dangers so that you can end up doing them again, and this is an extra body. This is a new card that is very, very good, so you reveal this with a Fiend in your hand. You special this, discard the Fiend. If you have this and a beige, it makes 3 Dagaris instantly, so that you can guarantee that your opponent's not going to be doing as much. And that's it for the monsters. Everything is basically a draw, a way into a draw, or an extender, so you kind of just keep on wanting to go through stuff constantly until you hit everything that you need to, and then from there, it's a hop, skip, and a jump to try and make as big of a board as possible. Then for the spells, we play 3 Drag Down into the Grave, and 2 Darkworld dealings. I like this ratio for it over it because the dealing lets me and my opponent choose what they want to keep. The Drag Down, fair enough, they choose what they want to discard from my hand. But if I have a handful of dangers or a handful of Darkworlds, as long as you play this tactically, you don't care what they discard from your hand because you'll have 2 cards and they both give you advantage. So it's basically which one less advantage, and it lets you constantly see the hand traps in your opponent's hand, so you can play around them very easily. There was one of my matches against Flunder, and I was just constantly ripping the small birds out of his hand until he didn't have small birds, so that's good. And then to finish them all off is the 1 Card Destruction, the 1 Darkworld Fusion spell, and the 1 Foolish Burial. Foolish is only used for Zephyros and Destrudo. I'm tempted to just take this out, and this just gets replaced with, I don't know, something like Beginning of the End for the free draw power. The Fusion spell is only good if you're going first. If you're not going first, you side this out because you don't want to make the Fusion, because it doesn't do as much. And Card Destruction is just... It's a double-ended card. It's better than Beginning of the End because you need to already have resources in the end in your grave for Beginning of the End to be good, and this just helps in the sense of you can end up just discarding a lot of stuff, and it gives you stuff. As long as you don't have a bunch of dangers that are in your hand that you want to resolve their draw effects or their other effects later on, then you don't use this until you have to. But yeah, that's really it for the Darkworld stuff. That's the main deck. The only thing that I would change, obviously, is the this is because in the older builds, when snow was legal, this was to ditch the snow, so you had the free body of extenders. This is all right, even if you're not going to make the fusion. I do tend to side it out, but it's second effective discarding stuff to add it back to your hand. It can end up getting the bad things out of hand that you just need to discard so that you have extra stuff on board. So it's a player's preference if they want to keep this in. I just end up taking it out because it's not as useful as it could be. And that's it for the main deck. For the extra deck, we play the 1 Darkworld Fusion monster because this basically just changes one of your opponent's effects to you discard 1 card. Well, your opponent discards 1 card from their hand. So because it's now your opponent's effect that's making you discard cards, so you get the full effect of the Darkworld. So the main one is obviously Silver, where it summons itself back. You rip a card out of you rip 2 cards out of your opponent's hand, so they've just got -3 from activating anything in their hand. The 1 Borrelsword Dragon, this is probably going to come out. I have used this for just pushing for game because my opponent has just anything that's too big to deal with, and the Borrelsword just outs it. 1 Dark Charmer because it's just link climbing stuff. 1 Blackluster Soldier. I made this against Live Twin, and then I made this 4/5. Live Twin found it very difficult to get over it. So I ended up winning one of the games while testing with this. But besides that, like, one-off matchup, this isn't as good as it looks. It really isn't. It's good for small events and for small charity ones, but it's not really great for anything else. Then we have the 1 Appaloosa. You obligatory make this with the Fusion Monster because then you have multiple negates plus a way to protect stuff. The 1 Nightmare Unicorn because it's Unicorn, and the 1 Phoenix to out back row because we don't have anything else to out back row besides the Phoenix. But thankfully, since mine isn't a thing, it's not needed as much. This just outs stuff if you need it to out stuff, but mainly I just use it for link climbing purposes. Then, because I is stupid, we play the 1 Raiders Knight. On the day I was going to try and get an Ark Rebellion, don't own it, so just ignore this. The 1 Cowboy because Cowboy for time goes brr. The one Dagaris, this is the free draw card. You try and make this first so that you get the free draw stuff and get free discards into stuff. If you don't need to make this first, then you can try and make the Dweller first to then like prevent any graveyard stuff from actually affecting you, but I tend to make this first and then this later on. We have the one Bagushka because it's just amazing. You just make this in defense, and then you just link climb up into like Appaloosa, and it's just fine. It's also great because you can make this in defense. Your opponent does naff all, and then you turn this into a Zeus next turn. And then to round off everything, we play the one Coach Soldier Giant Trainer. So this is a card that's kind of appeared again in Yu-Gi-Oh's history, where basically what this card does is a thrice per turn, which is weird for a text. You can detach material from this card, draw a card. If it's a monster, burn your opponent. So you have two ways into burning your opponent. You have this, and you have the Cowboy, but this is better because this lets you draw danger, so it lets you continue more. So if your opponent... so we tend to try and make the Cowboy first, and then if they bait it out in time, where they negate it with something, then we make the Giant Trainer, and then we can just like kill them. And then the one Zeus, because it's Zeus. That's really it. So that's everything for the main and extra. The side was specifically designed for the charity event that I went to. There's not really any much great theory that went into, but it's what it is. So I'll just go over it quickly. So we'll just start off with the monsters for it. So we play the 2 Nibiru and the 2 Lava Golem. We side these both in for going second. More so against anything that isn't Flunder, because if they're on the statue, then it's just sadness. But these 4, it's fine. You don't want to draw both sets, and obviously it just outs stuff. That's all it needs to do. You out like a Dweller or an Appaloosa, and you can start playing really easily without having to worry about anything. And then for the spells, the 3 Lightning Storm, you open this, and then you just kill your opponent. The 2 Dark Ruler, you only side these in against Flu. So the strategy obviously is you try and well, you pray that you basically draw into this. You Dark Ruler over the Empen and the statue, and then you just start doing full combo, and you just try and end on a board where it's moderately okay, and just guarantees that you don't lose instantly. I have done it where I ruled and then just made a Bagushka, and because they didn't have the ruler, it meant that I could do lots and lots of stuff during my next turn, and they just couldn't stop it. The 1 Harpy's Feather Duster and the double Twin Twister, these are just amazing. It's just back row outing. We don't play 3 Twin because Duster is better. And then finally, for my tech choice, because of how many Flunder plays were being played in Halifax, was 3 Anti-Spell Fragment. Where is the 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance. Now, the reason why we play this is because we don't play spells. So if we go first against any deck that like revolves around spells or anything like that, that's it. The game plan's over. We make this and Bagushka, you can't out it unless you have unless you drew the Twin Twisters. There was a Flunder match that I had for the final in Halifax, where game 2, I just went Bagushka, flip this up. Okay. So I flipped this up and had the Bagushka in defense, and they just scooped game 2 instantly. Didn't even bother playing, which is kind of good because Flunder is an annoying match to deal with. But yeah, that's really everything. The side deck is personal preference. It was built only for the charity event in Halifax. This deck is awful. Do not play this ever, unless you like playing with glass cannons. There is DARKWOLRD Control, which is a lot better, where you actually play more back row and you play stuff like Skill Drain, and that is a lot better, because then you can ditch Cerulees constantly and then get rid of Silvers out of your hand with Cerulees, so that your opponent starts with like no cards in hand. But besides that, the deck is alright as a fun deck. I wouldn't ever play this at major competitive things. The only tech that I might actually start putting back in is Shaddoll Beast for additional draw power, and Beginning of the End for more draw power, and maybe a Shade Brigandine so that I have additional access to a monster. But besides that, there is not really anything else that I would change in this. So yeah, if you guys have any suggestions on what you think I should change in DARKWOLRD, please do, because I've played this deck in a long time and I kind of hate it. But it is fun to play. It's very, very fun to just click the button yes constantly. Anyways, thanks guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always, and I'll be signing out now. Peace.